okay? Everybody else is having a good time, they're getting drunk, they're partying, you're sitting there going, you know, like this. So that's where I decided to go ahead and automate it. And so that started in 2002 was the first time I deployed it. And then it was very shortly after that, people contacted me over the internet and said, hey, can I have the software too? I want to do this too. And so all of a sudden everybody's downloading it. And it became a burden to support people. So I actually had to start charging money for it because I'm taking time out of my workday to support these folks and get them up and going and add the features they need and add the support for the cameras. So I don't do this for profit. Okay, I don't make money at all. We lose a lot of money when we do Eclipse Orchestrator, but I do it as a service to the community. So again, this isn't a sales pitch, and I kind of don't want you to buy it. I got other things to work on. So just the high-level view. This is Windows software for a PC. There is no Mac version. There is no plan for a Mac version. It works with Canon or Nikon DSLRs. I know since this came out in 2002, there's a lot more makers. Sony makes great cameras. There's Olympus. There's all these makers. But in terms of our resources here in software engineering, Canon and Nikon is all we can support. So what it does is commands the camera to take pictures over a USB connection. So you have to have a laptop, a camera, and a USB cable in between, and the software, those four pieces. And so the software will tell the camera, oh, at this time, go to 1/500th of a second, ISO 100, use a raw file type, set the lens aperture to f8, and take a picture now. Okay, and that's all it's really doing. And it's up to you to come up with the script of what you want it to do. And so you see on the screen here, this part is just telling you where you are, what time it is, how long the eclipse is going to be, how long till certain things happen. When is second contact? Second contact, that's when the moon's fully covered the sun. That's the money shot. That's the time when it gets good. So you've got to pay attention to when that's coming. Then we've got the readout of the exposures the system is going to take, just so you can see what's coming out and make sure it's what you want. There's a little simulated display of the sun. You can see we're just about 41 seconds from second contact on this, so the moon is almost covered all the way up. It's got a little map display. It shows the shadow pattern. So it's got just little things to give you situational awareness about what's going on. So these are the kind of things you can do with this software. Okay, what does it do? I showed you the coronal composites in the last presentation. You can program a high cadence, but for every, I think this was 1.8 or 2 seconds, we get the Bailey's bead effect. This is very fast evolving. It's over just a few seconds. And so if you're sitting there with the shutter button manually trying to capture it, you have maybe a 50-50 chance of hitting that button at the right time and getting those frames. But we can predict precisely to within about a second when the eclipse will be. And so, for a 2-second event, we just take, 6 or 8 seconds worth of exposure, we'll get it. This is a nice animation of the partial phases where we just every 1% of magnitude of the sun, we take an exposure. This is a polarimetry. This is a thing where I went ahead and turned the polarizer in front of the lens, and then the software gave me a voice prompt. Okay, set the polarizer to 0 degrees. Set the polarizer to 120 degrees. Earth shine, this is something that's really difficult to see. You can see the face of the moon as the projector showing it well. Can we turn the lights down? Anybody? So that takes a long exposure, 4 or 8 seconds, sometimes even longer for that to come out. Flash spectrum, if you put a diffraction grating in front of the camera, you can capture the spectrum of the sun. But again, if you want to get the chromosphere, that's a very short window of time to do it. So the software allows you to pre-program that. We know when that phenomenon is going to occur. We can program it in ahead of time and have that camera automatically take that exposure time. So if you're going to do this, you got to think about your goals. What do you want to accomplish? Okay, if you're like me, you want to accomplish it all, right? You saw that last frame. I mean, a lot of this was from 2006. I did everything because it was a 4-minute eclipse. There was lots of time to change filters around, polarizers, take things on and off, run multiple cameras. In many eclipses, they're shorter than that. You don't have time to do all these different things. So, what do you want to do? You want the corona composite, that beautiful streamers going all the way out. Do you want the diamond ring here? This is a double diamond ring we had in 2005. Do you want to see the Bailey's beads as the last bit of the moon's hills and valleys are covered up and it breaks up into little beads? Do you want to do the partial phase animation? You got to think through, okay, which of these steps do I want to capture? Chromosphere and chroms, obviously with hydrogen alpha filters, you can see those every day of the week when the weather's good, but for an eclipse, that's chromosphere gets covered up very quickly, just in a matter of seconds. So if you want to get that inner chromosphere, you've got to take that picture just the right time. Earth-shining stars, I talked about long exposures, flash spectrum, polar imagery, these are all things you can do during an eclipse. You've got to decide, I want to do this and this and this. And most guys get too ambitious, myself included. So what the software has is a wizard to help you schedule these exposures. I don't assume that everybody in this room knows exactly that the chromosphere will occur from here to here, and rays from here to here. So it helps you out. You check which phenomena you want to try to photograph, how many exposure sets. So like for the corona, it's a very huge dynamic range. It goes from the inner corona is very bright, the outer corona is very dim. You need to take a set of different exposures all through the range. And so the software just asks you, how many sets of exposures do you want to do? And then it'll try and schedule that into the time you have. So then it generates a script for you. And what we can see here is it's taking a picture. We have a reference of when it is in time, which camera, multiple cameras can be hooked up. But the more cameras you have, the odds of a failure goes up. It's like the square of the number of cameras. So keep it small. Exposure time, aperture, ISO, file type. If you want to use mirror lockup, if you've got a big long telescope you're looking through and the mount's a little bouncy, you want to lock up the mirror on the DSLR before you open the shutter. And so this tells how long to delay. And then there's just some other comments about it, the effective exposure time. So this is what a script looks like. So this is what I would spend weeks going through and tweaking. You can see all the settings. It takes a while to get it all figured out. And it's a little tricky to visualize what's going on when. So you've got to figure out ahead of time all this stuff. So referencing, you don't want to program. You can, but some guys do this. They'll calculate out ahead of time. Okay, at 18 hours UT, 21 minutes, 4.3 seconds, I want to take this photo. But most people can't figure that out, right? It's too complicated. So instead, what we do in the software is we reference everything off the contact times, the maximum of the eclipse. So then, if you pick up and you move around further down the eclipse path and everything is later, the script is automatically referenced to that point. And so that happens like on boats, If you've got to go find a clear hole, you don't want to have all your times locked down to the second. You've got to be able to adapt. So these are the kind of things that the software allows you to reference off of: sunrise, sunset, first through fourth contact. Obviously, second contact and third contact are the important ones when the totality begins and ends. Maximum eclipse is the best time to do that earth shot because the most corona is covered up. That gives you the darkest sky and the best chance of getting the faint features. And then eclipse magnitudes, if you're trying to do a time series, sometimes those are helpful. Local circumstances. This is something you have to do if you want to get your photos timed down to the second. These phenomena only last a couple of seconds. So if you want to nail that photo within the second, then the software needs to know where you are very accurate to within hundreds of meters. And so you need to have a GPS and loading your coordinates. So this is then what we calculated for the back deck of my house, which is where I planned to go to the eclipse last year. So just over here, it's showing we're going to get 44.6 seconds of totality. That's not very much. We're way in the southern limit here. So, just if anybody's thinking, hey, I want to come back here to the eclipse, this is a bad spot. We should be north of here. But then it shows you first contact, second contact, the different times of things going on, the altitude management. So all of this is calculated in the math, and it's one of the most accurate eclipse predictors. I'm not going to say it's the most accurate because it's not, but it's one of the most accurate because you'll see your newspaper says, oh, the eclipse starts at 4:21 p.m. Well, that's downtown Kansas City. That's not out here where you are. It could be seconds or minutes different from that, depending depending on where you are. So you've always got to get this prediction for your spot the day of while you're sitting there. Because I may set up over here, I may go over to a relative's house around the corner. Well, that's going to be a couple seconds different than times in the eclipse. So this is now, you've got your script kind of set up. This is the tool to visualize it. So what we have is, this is the time. As you can see, second contact, maximum eclipse. The little blue line is where you actually are when you're simulating. And then the vertical axis is the exposure value. So the bright exposure here, the very long exposures to catch dim stuff are down at the bottom. And the software just highlights different regions, partial phases, diamond ring, chromospheric prominences, corona, earth shine. It's showing you where you should have exposures if you want those different phenomena. And so this just allows you to go through and see. In this case, I'm ramping through different exposure times. So going, 1/10 of a second, 1/100th of a second, 1,000th of a second, up and down to capture the whole range of brightnesses. So this way you check and you see over there, not overlapping and trying to take two exposures at the same time. The biggest thing that people run into is they get over ambitious and they try to take way too many photos during totality, and then the camera locks up on you. So you have to reverse, make sure you're not getting too much stuff in there. And for that purpose, we have a simulation feature. It's absolutely critical to reverse. We actually turn off the cart on the software about a week before the eclipse, because if you haven't started practicing a week before the eclipse, you've got almost no chance of success. You have to practice these things. You have to know your equipment, you have to be ready, you have to have all your cables in place. On the flight over is not the time to be doing a lot of negative photography. You need to be doing it months, weeks in advance. So this is a simulation feature where it can just jump right in and allow you to point anytime during the eclipse and simulate what's going on at that point. Some other features it has, Matt talked about the problems they have with focusing. We've had hundreds of eclipse chasers run into this before. It's a super common problem. You're out in the field, people are bugging you, it's bright, you can't see through the viewfinder. Live view on cameras has been a godsend because you can actually see what the sensor is getting. Zoom in and see high detail. Well, sometimes still, depending on the time of day, you may not be able to see the LCD screen on the camera. So we added a feature where it shows the live image, and then in some very high visibility numbers, it gives you a metric, just like that Ben's going to use. It's based on the gradient in the frame. So you just keep focusing until you get the biggest number. It works really well. We've had really good feedback on this. So, focus problems, Jen talked about good, bad, and ugly. The bad and the ugly a lot of times came from focus. At night when you're not hurried, you can take as long as you want to focus a telescope. But when an eclipse is coming, and you've got 3 minutes and somebody's bothering you, you're not going to be able to focus well. Voice prompts, it's helpful to have a little reminder come out, hey, 10 seconds to go, get that filter off, so the software can do those sorts of things. Fun features we have also, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has revolutionized eclipse predictions because it's got very accurate profiles of where mountains and valleys are on the moon. And so the software has all of that data in it, and it actually computes it for your location. Fred does a great job predicting these things ahead of time. This does it for your actual spot as opposed to one just somewhere in the path. Another fun feature we added just for the heck of it, we know what the names are of all of these features on the moon. So I know for me here, Cabeus B is the crater who's going to cause the start of the eclipse, and the end of the eclipse comes from Valles Schrodinger. It's got a little shadow map in it so you can see where you are, and so you can see this little white dot. We are way at the southern edge of the eclipse, so that's why I'm saying this spot is not where you want to be. I'm going to be here just because it's my house. I mean, when does an eclipse go over your house? And I've seen this would be my 10th total solar eclipse that I have the chance of seeing. So I'm kind of, I want to do it from home. I've traveled enough. So, obviously up here center line, this is showing the duration. So you can't really see in red. These are bad places to be. Blue is out of the path. The deeper green it is, the longer the totality. So you can see this is Kansas City right here. Path goes right or the edge of the path goes right through town, so that's why most people are going up into St. Joe up in here. Sky simulation is something I added kind of just for kicks. As you have the shadow of the moon coming down, if you're at the end of the path especially, you think about the geometry, you know, you're sitting here on the earth, the shadow cone is coming through the sky, actually, okay? Imagine a cone lifting through the sky and then hits the ground where you are and then moves down somewhere else on the planet. And so actually what I added was the ability to simulate that shadow cone's effect in the sky, so the scattering of the light within the atmosphere. And so you can actually see this cone of light. So as you're looking towards the sun, this cone is shaped like this because of the fisheye projection. And so this is from El Califate in, I think, 2010. And so they had this, I predicted they would have a very asymmetric shadow, you know, because the cone was coming in from the left. And then you can see this cone of light in mid-eclipse is straight through them. And then it moves off to the right. So you see how it gets brighter over here versus brighter over there. And sure enough, the photos showed exactly. So this is used by photographers who want to get a picture of the shadow, you know, with a certain landmark. You can go ahead and predict ahead of time where it's going to be so you can frame up your photo appropriately. Shutter cables, you know, guys want to push the envelope on how fast stuff goes. Most cameras over USB are actually quite slow. The new generations are getting much better. The older DSLRs, when you give it a USB command, it's kind of like, really? You want me to take a picture? So it would take its time processing it and go, okay, all right, fine, I'll take a picture. Whereas when you push the mechanical shutter button, you know, it's like, oh, okay, I better take a picture. So what we would do more in the older days, the newer days, it's not as much of a problem. We would have these shutter cables to electronically push the button, and that way the camera would respond faster. We could get more frames per second out of it. And that's something the software supports. This is getting into really advanced territory that allows you to get, you know, super high speed sequences. So friendly advice, you know, I've hundreds, at least, well, probably thousands of people have used the software, and I have to say testing. You know, if you haven't rehearsed, you haven't tested, then Eclipse photography is going to be a disaster. You've got to get your stuff tested. You've got to know your equipment. It's got to be, you know, repeatable. You've got to use the same stuff. Don't change out to a different USB cable on the last for Eclipse Day. Maybe that USB cable is bad. Don't use a different chip in your camera because it may save a little bit slower than the old one you had. You know, don't change laptops. The new laptop might have updated to Windows 10 and now it takes twice as long to load. They're done. So, you know, you've got to practice the same way that you actually go ahead and use it. And then the other thing, the biggest thing people run into is getting too ambitious, trying to take too many frames per second. And so you have to experiment with how fast your camera can recycle and take another image. You know, for the first generation of DSLRs, it was like 3 seconds. So you have to wait 3 seconds between frames. When every generation gets faster, saves it out, you can bring that down. But you know, you've got to know, okay, I need 0.6 seconds between frames, so give myself some margin. You better not schedule anything faster than 0.8 or 0.9 seconds. So, more advice. Manual focus, the autofocus on your lens is not going to work during totality. Use live view, the little metric I showed you. Focus problems are the biggest thing people run into. I think Matt saw it already. You know, that's the biggest cause of non-success. I always bought 2 setups. I tried to bring 2 telescopes, 2 cameras, because I found that there was a 50% chance there would be something wrong with focus. So, you know, just you've got to pay attention to your focus. Looking through the eye, viewfinder is not good enough with today's digital cameras. And then you cannot trust the autofocus on these. They're not designed for a solar eclipse. Okay? They're not going to respond right to the look of the sun. You can't trust them. You have to manually focus with some kind of focus. You know, at a minimum, zoom all the way in with your live view so you're looking at the tightest view you can when you're manually focusing. It's better to use these metrics because it's easier to turn, you know, 2900 into 2920 and get perfect focus than it is to be looking at the screen bouncing around and somebody's tapping your shoulder and trying to figure it out. have a plan for focus. Take the focus ring in place after you've done all that work to get it focused. If you bump it while you're pulling your filter off, you're done. You know, you've got to lock these things down. And then, like I said, the solar filter, you have the white light solar filter in front of the telescope to protect it during the partial phases. You're focusing on the partial phases, but you've got to take that filter off to see totality. Second biggest cause of non-success behind bad focus is forgetting to take off the filter. I kid you not, everybody does it. And so, you know, I put a voice prompt in my software that says filters off to try to kick you and remind you to pull that filter off. And so, you know, you need to rehearse that. Make sure you know how to get it off smoothly without bumping the pointing, without bumping the focus, without knocking a wire out of the way. You know, if you've got wires draped across, you know, if I've got my camera over here and I'm going to have to go and get the filter off, I'm going to pull those cables off. You've got to think these things through. This is tough stuff. You've got to practice it and be ready.
Question?
Yeah. I do it typically 10 to 30 seconds before the second contact. It depends on how much of the diamond ring you want to get. Okay? So if you don't care about the diamond ring, you can wait right up to second contact. If you want that diamond ring, that's happening 5, 10, 15 seconds before, you've got to have the solar filter off by that time. I don't like to go more than 30 seconds because then you've got, you know, quite a bit of sun left there that's making sun that's, you know, that's dangerous. So it depends on your situation. Other common problems, latitude, longitude, time, you know, if you have any of those three wrong, predictions will go off and you won't be taking pictures at the right time. Don't get over ambitious. Again, I think you've heard me say it again and again. You know, if you have 4 cameras, that's a 16 times higher chance of failure, in my opinion. You gotta be simple. You gotta keep it straightforward what you're doing.
If you do have 4 cameras, will they all run off the software simultaneously, or will you have to have 4 different instances?
You can run it off of a laptop, but that's then a single point of failure if that laptop has a problem. So I try to tell people, if you have 4 cameras, you know, the idea would be 4 laptops. You know, if you go 2 off 2 laptops, that's all right too. But if you've got 4 cameras on 1 laptop and 1 USB cable gets bumped, you lose all 4 cameras. So you want to keep it simple. And then again, just don't get over ambitious. Tight timing. You know, if you're waiting to remove that solar filter till 2 seconds before, the odds of you releasing that filter in those 2 seconds is actually quite low. You want to give yourself a little margin. Don't try to change lenses. Don't try to zoom in and out. And anything else, you know, if you have your solar filter taped on with, like, I've seen guys who are going like this with duct tape. No. It's got to be a clean pull off with nothing. All those things. Yeah.
I just follow on the human side. At what point do you maintain your life filtration throughout? But I see
Again, about maybe 10 seconds before I would take my glasses off. And
I was
you could look.
concerned about that because I see so many no one has eye filtration.
Yeah.
So what would you do?
Most of them aren't looking. I mean, your natural reflex is to look away when you see bright objects. Most of them aren't staring at the sun for a long time, and so usually they're looking around, and most people don't actually stare at the sun. What do I do? I take mine off maybe 10 seconds before. I would usually remove mine and then remove the camera filter before the second contact. Yeah. Should. Most phones have GPS now, and that should work. And a lot of the phones have pretty good time accuracy now too, because they're linked into the network time. If you have a standalone GPS unit, that's usually very good as far as time. We used to have a hard time in the old days before GPS getting accurate time. You know, so what I used to have to do is I had a watch. I knew that it lost 1 second every 6 days or whatever. So I would know when I left one time we were in an observatory, and said, oh cool, they've got a GPS readout, get my watch updated. You know, but nowadays with GPS, it's a lot easier to get accurate time. Some other issues, bracket and exposure setting, bracket and time. You know, what if you don't have the right time on your clock? You know, we've had guys who had their computer clock set 2 seconds off, and that means a 2-second daily beat sequence was missed entirely. Bracket and exposures, the corona will be a certain brightness. Well, it might also be dimmer if there's a high layer of clouds, or if it's low on the horizon. So you've got to cover the bases. And then also in case of clouds, it does happen. You know, you will in your eclipse chasing career get a cloud out at some point. So you want to have a backup script. I would always make one. Then in my case, what I would do is I would just run through maybe 3 or 4 exposures over and over, so that even if I just hit a 3-second hole in the clouds, I would get a couple of frames in there. You saw that in a few cases where we had a lot of cloud activity. At least I came over with something. You know, if you're going, you know, 1/100th 10 times, and you go down to this one 10 times, you go down to this one 10 times, and you only had that much clear sky, you only got one exposure value. So a lot of times you want to get multiple exposures, so you have to step through. So that's it. You know, I'm not advocating you guys use it. It's very complicated. It's really for the dedicated photographers who have a lot of equipment and a lot of specific goals about getting just the sun. But if you do, you know, this will help you out. It'll make it more accurate, more bigger chance of success with it. So the biggest thing is you just got to practice early and often. So, any questions? Yeah. Yeah. The image stabilizer, especially on land,